I welcome you to all in the presentation of paper ID 394 of 10th Annual Conference on IEOM Dubai UAE March 10 to 12, 2020. The paper was titled A Fuzzy Logic Based Approach Towards Sales Forecasting, Case Study of Knit Garments Industry. I am presenting MD Mamunur Rashid. All three authors are from Department of Industrial and Production Engineering, Bangladesh University of Textiles. In the abstract, in this work, the demand pattern of ready-made garments of a knit garments factory in Bangladesh was studied and factors influencing the demand pattern were identified. An accurate sales forecast is a prerequisite of achieving an accurate and effective supply chain of complete garments. A fuzzy inference system-based algorithm was developed to predict the sales of garments according to the sales influencing factors. The developed algorithm is mainly a quantitative method of forecasting, but also takes some qualitative issues into account. The developed model was compared with the actual total sales found by traditional sales forecast in seasonal forecasting with trend adjustment. The seasonal factors of the two cyclic demand patterns for January to June and July to December of each year were calculated. Then linear regression trend was followed to calculate the traditional forecasting. The developed model showed better prediction as it matches closely with the actual sales. The root mean square error and mean absolute deviation are 3.605 and 3.081% in the developed fuzzy model, which is within the standard limit. Thus, the obtained result showed by the fuzzy model yields better demand prediction, taking into account the inherent uncertainties, and with less error, thus the efficiency of the proposed fuzzy model is verified. In the literature review section, Barney et al. In 2019 developed a novel fuzzy time series approach model and applied to the area of monthly milk carton sales in supermarket supply chain for sales forecasting for better demand management. Zhang et al. In 2017 applied fuzzy logic in the time series forecasting after converting the data to visibility of graph, and in the area they applied this model in the area of student enrollments, Taiwan Stock Index, Construction Cost Index. Ali et al. In 2016 developed a fuzzy logic model to forecast a year ahead load consumption in the power industries of the town of Mubi in Adamawa State, Nigeria. Torini et al. In 2016 used a top-down fuzzy logic modeling for Brazil's long-term annual electricity demand forecast. Kumar et al. 2016 proposed a conceptual framework for modeling the dynamic price discounting strategy in retail using fuzzy logic. In our problem, the economy of Bangladesh is rapidly growing on its textile and clothing sector. Around 80% of total exports of the country depend on this sector. To keep stability of this foreign earning and maintaining the impact on national GDP, more concern is to need to improve the overall business strategy. So how we can manage this business strategy? By developing a general forecasting model to forecast the amount of ready-made garments sale in the upcoming future. In order to achieve this goal, the various types of factors, inputs, we are calling the factors as inputs, were identified which influence the number of RMG sold, ready-made garments sold, as output in different manners. The inputs we considered are as follows. The design of the RMG is the most important variable influence in the calculation of number of RMG sold. There is an almost linear relationship between the design and the number of RMG sold. Then innovation, innovative technologies. Innovation is the second most important factor of garments factories compete among other influencing factors. It's a prior factor that customer considers about before placing an order. Innovation is a qualitative factor which is rated 0 to 10 for mathematical modeling. Though design and innovation is satisfactory, but the price of RMG is so high, only few amount of order will be placed. So there is an inverse relation between the price of RMG and the number of RMG sold. Then the shade variation of the RMG, the special garments who have no shade variation all the year around, if the shade variation without customer expectation, the number of RMG sold will be decreased. The color light dip, another important concern is the color of the order. If suppliers provide light color garments, number of RMG sold will be larger than the number of RMG sold in case of deep color garments. Number of colors, the customers prefer more number of colors in their orders. So number of colors increases will cause the RMG sold to be increased. In the finishing section, the finishing need to be top standard, so the hand feel is soft. It is expected to be liked by the buyers. So as much better finishing must increase in the RMG sold. Use dyes and chemicals. If there is no azotite or other harmful substance chemicals in the used process, the RMG sold will be increased. The strength of the RMG, greater strength of garments as well as the fabric. The customer expects the ready-made garments with high strength of fabric and yarn. Fabric hairiness is less expected by the customer. Printing, increasing the area of screen printing are likely to increase the number of RMG sold. Embroidery, decorative embroidery area, increase the number of RMG sold. Trims and accessories, a linear relationship between the number of RMG sold and the number of trims and accessories decoration in the garments. Cotton specification, the commitment of organic garments production causes increasing the number of RMG sold. Percentage of defect, if the defect percentage is high, the number of RMG sold will be less. Finally, the lead time. Lead time is the time difference the customer place order and receive the order. So the suppliers have the capacity to supply the garments within the shorter lead time. It is likely to increase the number of RMG sold. The order will be placed to those suppliers. With a view of solving this existing problem, the sales forecasting of RMG sold, a fuzzy inference system was generated by fuzzy model. Now we can see the algorithm in the data processing parameters. The composite parameter will be current value and mean over the time window. Then these inputs will be creased, which is called input fuzzification. The membership function will be defined here. Then the inference rule matrix, the relationship will be given different inputs of fuzzy inference system, and that will create the fuzzy output, which is the defuzzification parameter. Defuzzification of the creeps continuous output. If the discrete output is within the range, then it can be said rested, tired, or inconclusive. Methodology. Firstly, as we have previously mentioned, clear and straight cut output parameters are selected. Here, the sales volume of RMG, which is going to be forecasted by the developed fuzzy model. Then the variables that impact the output parameters are identified, and the major factors are selected as input parameters. Each input is divided into different ranges, and each range is represented by a specific membership function, such as triangular, rectangular, or rectangular by collecting of necessary real-life data range to develop the model. Output is also split up into 7 ranges by selecting appropriate membership functions. Then several logic rules were created using AND or OR connections by relating the input variables with output parameters, and graphical relationship surface between the inputs and output were observed. When the graphical relationship surface is acceptable, then the output is calculated from FIS. After developing the fuzzy model, sales of RMG for the next 6 years were calculated from the generated FIS. Finally, to validate the developed fuzzy model, different error measure techniques such as RMSE, MAT, MAPA were calculated. If the calculated errors are satisfactory, then the developed model is accepted. Either the input parameters are changed until the model is accepted with minor error. Here we can see the data from 2013 to 2018 based on 2 seasons. The January sales were 21.37 million, There in July 21.99 million, and then in 2018 January 29.49 million, and July 29.72 millions. Sales data of previous year, we can see from 2003 to 2007, number of RMG sold were gradually increasing from starting from 0.1 million to 3 million, and in 2008 to 2012 the number of RMG sold is increased to 20 millions. Table 3, the sales forecast of RMG for the next years in million. Based on the data, we can find that after the analysis, we have find this data. Forecast is 20.98 million. In July 2013, 22.83 million, and in 2018 January 34.509 million, and July 36.66 million. Following the regression analysis formula, we have found this linear trend equation y equal to 10.799 plus 1.269x. So calculating the seasonal forecast, and the seasonal forecast it found for the January semester 1.066, and for the July semester 1.09. So here is the graphical representation. Sales forecast by the fuzzy model starting from 2012 21.37, then 21.99, and so on, and at 2018 29.73 million. Here we can see a sample graph developed by fuzzy model, sales forecast of RMG, which relating to another axis, the input parameters, design and price. So here number of RMG sold in millions are compared with the different inputs. We can see this is the comparison graph of sales forecast with fuzzy model approach and the traditional approach. Seasonal forecast by RMG by fuzzy model and traditional sales forecast of RMG. Then considering the seasonal factor, the traditional forecast will be 22.365, 24.892, and so on at 2018 July 39.969. The graph in the above figure shows the difference between the fuzzy model forecast and traditional approach forecast of corresponding the time period. Curve representing the traditional and fuzzy model forecasted sales show very little discrepancies between the fuzzy model forecast and the traditional occurrence. From the actual sales data, related performance measure were calculated to validate the fuzzy model. The root mean squared error, RMSE, MAT, and MAP were calculated 3.605, 3.081, and 10.03% respectively. So at the end, we can say that as an effective sales forecasting tool, multivariable fuzzy logic model can be used as demonstrated by a result. So fuzzy model performed best because its ability to identify non-linear relationship such as triangular or rectangular in the input data. However, the correlation was better for short-term forecast, but not as good as the longer time periods. In this research work, demand pattern of RMG of DBL group was studied, and factors having influence behind the demand pattern are identified. In order to achieve an accurate and effective supply plan of RMG, it is prerequisite to have an accurate sales forecast of it. As newer forecasting models being invented with the passage of time, our textile and clothing sector should adopt this modernized method to forecast the RMG demand. So an algorithm will be able to forecast RMC demand with respect to our country environment with more accuracy, will play a major role in the development of our clothing sector. A fuzzy inference system based algorithm was developed in this research in order to predict the sales of RMG according to the condition of sales of different influencing factors. So this developed model was compared with the actual total sales found by traditional seasonal forecast with trend adjustment, and the error found was very low. So our obtained results shows fuzzy model is yield better demand prediction taking into account the inherent uncertainties with less error. Thanks for for your patient sharing. I will be very much happy if you have any question to answer. Thank you.